Welcome to lesson 1. In this lesson, we are going to look at day 1 mentality by Jeff Bezos. And we're going to look at what day 1 mentality means and why we should adopt it as entrepreneurs, visionaries, and leaders. But before that, the quote for the lesson. And the quote for the lesson is this: staying in day 1 requires you to experiment patiently, accept failures, plant seeds, protect saplings, and double down when you see customers delight. A customer-obsessed culture best creates the conditions where all of that can happen, by Jeff Bezos. And in his own words, this is what Jeff Bezos says about day 2. He said that day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. And that is why it is always day 1. To be sure, this kind of decline would happen in extreme slow motion. An established company might harvest day 2 for decades, but the result would still come. And this is why at Storelink we adopted Jeff Bezos' principle of operating in the day 1 mentality. And in day 1 mentality, things are always fresh. We are always working in small teams. We are always finding new ways to get to customers. We are always finding new ways to engage people in the community. We are always finding new ways in which we can be able to constantly interact with our customers, clientele, partners, developing new products, new systems, and also listening to them. We discover that day 1 mentality is where there is growth, is where there is innovation, is where there is sustainability. And so as businesses, even as we grow and even when we have grown, we have to ensure that even then we maintain a day 1 mentality where we are always looking, always seeking for customer feedback, and always working on innovating and coming with the best products and best services ever. So, lessons. And the first lesson we look at is the essence of day 1 Amazon thinking. This was described by Jeff Bezos in his 2017 stakeholder letter, and this is how Amazon keeps its company from maintaining a customer-oriented focus. Here are some of the highlights from that letter which really brought the day 1 principle to life. And the first one is customer obsession. It is about being obsessed with pleasing the customers and knowing that they are always happily dissatisfied, meaning there are more things that they would like to enjoy that they do not know yet. So customers are happily dissatisfied. Customers could enjoy a lot more things, but they don't know that they'll enjoy these things. So it is your work as a company, as a business, as an enterprise, as a leader, to find new ways of constantly making the customer happy and satisfied. Number 2, outcome orientation. Bezos says that many companies, as they grow up, they become process oriented and not outcome oriented. When you're a startup, it's easy to become outcome oriented because there's not a lot that you're dealing with. But when you begin to get bigger and bigger and bigger, more effort and more resources go towards focusing on the process and not the result. What Jeff Bezos reminds us is when we grow bigger and bigger, we should be more intentional with finding how to give the result and not focus on the process. So we should be more outcome oriented than process oriented. Number 3 is early adoption of trends. Those you know who know me know that I love trends and seeing what is coming next. That is part of our strategic brands. However, what Bezos talks about is not resisting change, but eagerly trying out new things. Jeff Bezos says that we should always be people who are early adopters. When you see new trends, try them out, adopt them out, so that when change comes, we're already in the system and that change does not catch us by surprise. And then as the organization grows, Bezos reminds us of something else. He calls it high velocity decision making. This is how quickly we are making important decisions. And he reminds us that we need to be making important decisions quickly, and we need to be making important decisions sustainably, so that we are not slow. We should be acting very, very fast. How quickly we are making important decisions determines how fast we see the outcomes from it. If the decisions turn out to be correct, we learn from them early enough. If they turn out to be wrong, we also learn from them early enough. And then next, looking deeper into Jeff Bezos' day one mentality, here are some leadership lessons that can be learned. And the first one is, results are more important than the process. Results are more important than the process. And the second one is, we need to move fast. Speed matters in business, and Bezos says that he credits success of his startup and his businesses to those that are making decisions at a high velocity. Number three, you need to look outside. The world of business and the world of entrepreneurship and leadership is outside there. You need to be constantly looking outside to find those new opportunities and new avenues. And people will tell you those opportunities, but people are always on the outside. And then the world, the world can push you into day two. Resist. Don't accept to be pushed into day two. If you want to adopt the strategies to, maintain your day one, you'll be quickly pushed into day two, and day two equals failure. And then another lesson is complacency kills. And this is a very serious leadership lesson, that do not accept the status quo, especially when things are going well. When things are going well, find out ways of being better. Don't just accept the status quo. Always find ways of improving, because if you accept the status quo, you get into the comfort zone, and if you get into the comfort zone, there is no innovation, and when there is no innovation, there is no growth. When there is no growth, there is no profit, and then when there is no profit, there is no success, and the business fails. So complacency kills. And then finally, do not make decisions by proxy. Do not assume that the views of a few people represent the views of the market. Go out there and ask the market. Don't just take a sample of people and think that their views is enough, especially if you're asking the wrong customers. Always go out there and find out from what the market needs. And it puts it very nicely that do not assume the views of a few representing everyone. Instead, understand the customer and have a vision and love for the offering. So your work is to understand the customer. Your work is to understand their vision and then offer that vision. And that is how you make decisions, by understanding the customer. Not by proxies and not by listening to opinions of the few who are representing the masses. It's always by just going down and listening to the masses themselves, understanding them, and then delivering value for them. Practical skills. So, what do we need to do as our businesses grow to ensure that we still maintain the day one spirit, that we keep innovation and creativity alive and the passion alive? Number one, welcome feedback. Not every idea should be implemented, but every single one should be heard and considered. Number two, build bonds with staff. Ensure that your employees is your number one fan, and ensure that the first employee and the 1,000th employee all feel engaged and they feel that they are part of the business. And it is important to learn people, learn their names, and ensure that they are engaged, because often they're the ones who are closer to the customers and they will give you good feedback. Number three, have a North Star. Certainly, one of the biggest challenges of scaling a startup and keeping innovation spirit alive is keeping aligned on the company vision and not having a North Star that everybody is working towards. So have a North Star where everybody can look at and everybody knows that this is where the organization is going and that my activity today is contributing towards the vision. And then number 4, find ways to stay small. This means as you grow, you'll get many people, but think of what makes startups special. What makes startups special is those traits that keep them close, collaborating, and innovating. And so find ways of keeping smaller teams, find ways of staying collaborative, find ways of staying engaged as startups so that even as you grow up, you are still maintaining your small units and that you are growing consistently. And then finally, keep company policies at a minimum. The implementation of too many policies and rules and regulations could stifle an employee's creativity. It gives them the impression that there are just too many do's and don'ts to stick to. So don't have a lot of policies, just have the right ones and then let the employees and the company and the organization do the rest. And with that, I hope that you maintain your day one mentality even as you grow and scale up your business, and I'll see you on the next one.